Hello and welcome to the Mindset Michelle TV show. We're so super excited for you to be joining us for yet another incredible and amazing guest today. And today's guest is the lovely Jarrett. Hello, Jean.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And it's so wonderful to have you on the show. For those of you that aren't aware of Jean, she is this incredible and kind and gentle person. She's a clinical nutritionist and naturopath who specializes with working with children at looking at their gut and their well-being. Now, I for one, am fascinated about the relationship between the gut and general health and your well-being. But before we go there, Jean, can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you came to be doing and working in such a fascinating and interesting area?
Thanks, Michelle. My history, it was corporate, and this is not a very original story, I'm afraid. I was working in corporate and loved it, had a fabulous job, but when I had a family, I decided that it was time to do something a little bit less stressful and something that I had a little bit more control over. Working 80-hour weeks in a stressful environment didn't really match up with my ideas of home life balance with little kids around. So I started studying nutrition, to be honest with you, just as something to do when I was at home with young kids, to get my brain working. And I loved getting out and meeting people and socializing and being out of the house. It felt like I was such a grown-up again. And that's how I started. And to be honest with you, it did really start just as a hobby, but I found that I just loved working with my clients, and there was just so much to learn and so much to give. And I think one of the things that I was so surprised about was just what a difference the food that we eat can make into our health. And I think, and as you see what says on my website, my slogan basically is that I do think that the missing link in our health and our well-being is our diet and nutrition and our gut health. So I'm very lucky to have found something that keeps me interested, and I'm able to do that as a job.
Wow, and what a similar story so many people share, especially women around. You're successful, you're working very hard, you're doing 80-hour weeks, and then you realize, to have more of that balance with children and have a life, and also to have more of that joy about what you're doing and about your life, that, that transition, and in your case, moving over to nutrition and starting off as, a bit of a hobby and going, oh, I actually enjoy this. I enjoy talking to people about this, and then slowly building a career and building a business out of that.
Exactly.
It's such a, like you said, it's not that unusual a story, but it's still, I don't want to detract from the, the retraining, the re-this, the re-that. It's still an accomplishment to, as an older adult, who's already started off in one career, to then going to go and study and learn how to do another career.
Well, that's one of the things I found was the hardest, was actually studying again. I had to really train my brain. To begin with, I would be able to focus for possibly 15 minutes if I was lucky. And it was quite an eye-opener for me. And so I was very fortunate. I had some beautiful teachers that were able to mentor me, and I was able to set myself small goals and really get that brain muscle working again and build up to being able to, even sit down for a whole hour and focus. But it was really challenging at the beginning.
And I love how you so beautifully share and explain that, because you didn't kind of go, oh, I'm older, I can't focus anymore, I can't learn this, I can't this, I can't that. You actually went, oh, I've forgotten how to use this brain muscle. So like any of the muscles, if you were starting exercise again, for example, you understood that you needed to perhaps take your time and to relearn how to use that muscle and build up to being able to focus for an hour.
Yes.
And it's wonderful, because I think, being successful in one career and then starting a new one and being successful in that, you've already, and you're still quite young, already kind of proven that you can go out and do what you set your mind to. So with that interesting kind of patterning for you, what would you then say success is to you today?
For me today, success means having my own business, being my own boss, being the one that makes the decisions about how many hours I work a week, what days I work, when I can have my time off, where I put my energy. That to me has been my goal from when I decided to start working again, was to have that flexibility for me to be the one making those decisions.
Yeah, and it fits in so well with the where you came from, in a sense of 80 hours and limited freedom and flexibility when
Yes,
you're working
exactly.
8 hours.
That's it. And to be able to turn up to the kids' events when they have them, or be at home when they come home from school most days a week. And there's always compromises. So I'll work on a Saturday, for example, because one, it's great in clinic to work on a Saturday because I see so many children, but also because it means that I can be at home during the week with the kids and helping them in the afternoons and spending time with them then. So there's compromises, but I'm the one that gets to make those decisions, which is a privilege.
It is, and I'm glad that you recognize that you have that control and those choices, and that as part of that 80-hour week that you were talking about, you might still be doing 40 hours a week, but you're actually doing it around the higher value and the higher priority of your children. And so by being such a great example, as I said, of somebody that's actually chosen to do 2 different careers and been successful in those 2 different careers, gone back to studying and learnt how to retrain those brain muscles, what sort of tips and suggestions for people watching do you have? And also the fact that you're a nutritionist and specialist in gut health. So what sort of things do you think you can suggest to people to help them with creating their mindsets for success?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think everyone's different. But for me, I need it, and I still would like things to be very tangible and very accessible. So I'm very much, when I set my goals for myself, I make them really small, really, really small. And that way you get to celebrate how well you do at them really easily. And when you do well at something and you achieve it, you're more likely to want to go on. So in business, for example, I'll set my goals really, really tiny so that I'm always achieving them. But then longer term, obviously, when you get to look back in hindsight, you can see how far you've come. It's the same with my clients. I'm working with people who are busy. They've got busy lives. They haven't got time to be doing a lot of changes. And if I give them too many things to achieve, they're going to probably lose interest and not do anything. So we're really breaking things down, making them simple. I'm trying to think of some examples I can use. So, for example, for how I achieve my goals, finding support, I think, is also a really important thing. For example, getting back into exercise recently, recovering from an injury. First thing I would do is set myself the goal of walking every week, and it would literally only be 5 minutes because that's achievable. And then next thing you know, it'll be 10 minutes. The next week it's 15 minutes, building up slowly. And like I said earlier, when you do achieve the goals that you set yourself, you got to celebrate it and tell yourself how well you've done, and then set the next one after that.
I think that's a really, really wonderful and very valuable point that you made. And I'm sure when you were studying to do the naturopath work, that the idea of sitting down and studying for an hour would have been, like insane to you, in the same way that after an injury, the idea of being able to walk for an hour might have seemed insane from where you were, but building up that 5 minutes a week, 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes an hour, etc., so that you keep building those muscles. And I think that that's one of the great strengths about achieving goals, like you were sharing earlier, setting small enough goals so that you can actually keep achieving them. You reminded me of, it was such an insane example, and I keep using it to this day. I actually did this 6-week course many years ago in the UK while I was living in London, and it was about setting some goals and achieving it within the 6 weeks. And they were talking about these micro goals, and this one person shared with us that their goal was to exercise their thumb 10 times a day. Now, I thought, this is insane, but it was that same psychology around, if I do my thumb 10 times a day, I prove to myself I keep my agreements, I exercise my thumb, all of these different benefits of having such a small goal. And after the 6 weeks, you know, they will have a very fit thumb. So I think I set this ridiculous goal, you know, like people for losing weight. You know, you might set the goal of wanting to lose, you know, 5 kilos a month or every quarter or something like that. I think I set myself this goal of losing 0.1 of a kilo over that 6 weeks, because I wanted to feel like I wasn't just achieving the goal, I was an overachiever of the goal.
Exactly.
So it's just very much this reversal of, you know, most of the mindset around these types of things is, you know, set a goal of say losing 5 kilos over that 6 weeks, and then kill yourself for that 6 weeks. But what I've understood, and what things like the thumb helped me understand, was that it was setting up the patterns for success. So you so beautifully shared it earlier when you were saying about the 5 minutes, because what you're wanting to do is have those micro goals that you keep achieving, and then you feel good that you've achieved them, and that good feeling kind of loops back and keeps you going.
Well, it's one thing I notice with my clients as well. If I set their goals to be unrealistic, then they lose faith. They lose faith in themselves. They lose faith in the process. We need things to be achievable, and we, as humans, we thrive on doing well. We love that, but we also give ourselves a really hard time, excuse me, if we don't achieve what we set out to do. So if we make that goal so easy that it's achievable, then we're setting ourselves up for success.
We are. And I did always wonder afterwards whether I should set up some sort of, you know, thumb exercising. You know, some movement around, you know, micro exercise and getting the thumbs moving each day. But whether it's that or, you know, more and more nowadays, they talk about every hour or so getting up from the computer and moving. And we've had that, you know, those insights and that kind of suggestions for many, many years. But I think the key that we're talking about, and that you've so beautifully shared, is around setting up the micro goals to succeed. So if you for using that same example, if you remembered once in the whole week to get up from your desk to actually stretch and exercise, then that's the micro goal, as opposed to doing it every hour or every day or every whatever. And then failing if you forget like 1 hour, and then you're thinking about that one time you forgot and didn't do it, as opposed to the other 6 or 7 hours that you remembered while you're at work.
Absolutely. And the other thing I've always taken on myself, and again, it's something that I work with my clients to achieve, is we're not after perfection. I think we sometimes we have too high expectations of ourselves. So I always say to people, this is the ideal, but let's just go for 80% ideal, and let's just leave ourselves a little bit of wriggle room for being, you know, human and imperfect, and give ourselves a bit of a leeway. So yeah, like I say, making those goals really simple and achievable just makes you feel like you're doing the right thing and you're heading in the right direction, and it's going to keep you motivated.
And I really like that, especially for the work that you do and the area you talk about, you know, in terms of nutrition, because you know, people talk about cheat days or fasting, intermittent fasting. There's so many different ways that you can approach it. But I like how you're saying it's about that 80%. So recognizing, and I know for myself that when I'm doing health related things, I think of it as a lifestyle change. I don't think of it as a short term, I'm going to do this or that. I think of it as, well, you know, with the age I'm at and the this and the that, what I want to do is be implementing these small changes to actually build incrementally of the health and the lifestyle of health. That actually means that, you know, I've got good health going through as I get older and older. But I like the what you were saying about not going for perfection, because
Well, you're setting yourself up to fail, aren't you, really? If you want to be perfect. And that brings up another interesting point about those habits, about building in good habits. And that's what I do essentially, is teach people how to build good habits into their life, whether that's making choice of picking up an apple over a chocolate bar and building in those routines. Simple things like drinking enough water, getting out into the sunshine, doing things that make them happy. It's, you know, those are really important things, and we need to work out how to build them into our routine. So, for example, I use some beautiful breathing exercises with my clients, and I use them for myself as well. And there's two things that I do. There's one exercise that I'll do every morning before I brush my teeth. So I've been brushing my teeth for more than 50 years now. So I do it every day, twice. And that's pretty firmly engraved in my life. And so by adding the exercises to that, I do them automatically now because they are part of that routine. And the other one I do before bed. And so it's a beautiful breathing exercise that helps to bring me down at the end of the day, to help with relaxation, deep breathing, and drift me off into a nice, beautiful sleep. And by doing that at the end of the day, I'm going to be helping my body to get a deeper sleep than I might if I went to bed tired and just collapse.
I'm fascinated with this breathing. Do you want to quickly describe the breathing exercises that you do a bit more?
Yeah, so I use a technique called buteyko breathing, which was developed in Russia, and it was actually developed originally to help with asthma. But they found that what it did was it corrects dysfunctional breathing. So it's all about breathing through our nose, which is the correct vessel that we should be breathing through, at least breathing in through. And a lot of people have breathed through their mouth. The other thing a lot of people do is they breathe shallow, very shallow. When we breathe deeply, and when we breathe into the lower parts of our body, we activate our diaphragm, which helps with our lymphatic system, and it helps with our digestion as well. So I find a lot of clients who are suffering from IBS or constipation are really shallow breathers. And that's also leading to more tension around the shoulders and the jaw. So, for example, the breathing exercise I do before I go to sleep is just placing the hands on the rib cage and gently focusing on the breath coming in through the nose and down towards the hands. And as you breathe in, the hands move up. And as you breathe out, the hands fall down. And some people find that really challenging to do. Other people can do it well, but we get them to build up and do it for a couple of minutes before sleep. And that stimulates our vagus nerves so that we are in our rest and digest phase. And it just takes your mind away from your busy day and helps you drift off into a deep sleep.
That's so wonderful. It's funny how you talk about, you know, integrating it with brushing your teeth, because it's similar to the sorts of exercises. There's some affirmations that I say when I'm actually in the shower. And I don't know how many people themselves kind of have these, you know, there's so many things that we kind of do on autopilot throughout a day. We may not realize it, but brushing your teeth, having a shower, there's all these things that we've done them for so many years now that we're kind of asleep in many ways, because our body's kind of programmed to do it. So these affirmations, I used to love, saying them when I got in the shower, because it set the day up, because I shower in the morning. It set the day up so beautifully to have this positive mindset and positive focus for the day. So I hear, and I love that, about feeling your rib cage and breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And by feeling your rib cage, you're focusing on breathing that breath down through your nose into the rib cage and then out. And I love how you're explaining to people how it stimulates the vagus nerve and helps them to then get into that sleep patterning and get ready for going to sleep. I've also seen, funnily enough, a lovely gentleman we had on the show, Nick Bendel. He shared with me that every time he's about to go to the bathroom, before he goes to the bathroom, he jumps down on the ground and does these press-ups. So he gets to exercise every time he goes to the bathroom. And of course, he's doing these amazing press-ups. So I think the key that we're sharing so wonderfully with people, and you brought out so beautifully, is around how simple it can be when we're in those kind of automatic pilot kind of processes, brushing your teeth, going to the bathroom, having a shower, that you can train yourself to actually add in something else that's really good for your health, for your mental well-being, for your physical well-being, something that's very simple and very small, like these micro goals, where you're actually setting yourself up then and reprogramming, or pattern interrupting is the other wonderful thing of whatever may be going on or going through your mind. And I know for me, I'd wake up sometimes and I'd be like, I've got to do this today, and I've got to do that today, and I've got to this. And I would be noticing how busy and how crowded my thoughts were getting very quickly in the shower. And I'd kind of go, okay, yeah, I know that that's all there and I'll get to it. But for now, I'm going to be focusing on, my physical intention is this, my emotional intention is that. And I'd be going through all of those different intentions that I had for those different areas of being, as a way of setting them up and just like the thumb, the little micro goals for the day. And I think that this breathing and this focus on small things that you can do is such wonderful tips that you're sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it is. And the other thing I love about the breathing is it's completely free. So a lot of the time I'm recommending things to my clients that might be, changing their diet can sometimes be costly. And so this is something they can do for free that's going to help their health enormously.
And I was fascinated also as well earlier when you mentioned about training people's brains, and it's a very human thing, because the sugar, we're actually physiologically addicted to the sugar in that chocolate bar. So it's not just it's not just a mental choice to go, I should go eat the apple, because we mentally in many ways know, oh, I should eat the apple rather than the chocolate bar. So just like that fabulous simple breathing exercise you shared, what's a simple thing that you help people with when they are, again, faced with these two choices, and they're going, oh, but, I really feel like I want that chocolate bar and I'll eat the apple later. And of course there is no later. So what do you share? What do you share with people when, that they're trying to retrain their brains with making healthier food choices, for example?
So for the first thing that we have to do is look at their environment. So, for example, people will often associate, like, for example, if they're at work and there's a tin of biscuits at work, they'll automatically have a biscuit. So the environments that you're in at home, you can control what's going on there. So filling your home with healthy snacks, setting a routine around your diet, what you're going to eat to the day, what you're going to achieve. But I guess the main thing is, again, coming back to the sort of the 80% success, don't deprive yourself. I think, again, if people start to deprive themselves, then they're just going to feel bad and they're probably going to overindulge. So if people want to have a little bit of chocolate, then we let them have a little bit. And it depends on the client, obviously. It depends what's going on for them. And if they've got some blood sugar problems, then I'm probably not going to recommend this. But for example, I've got a beautiful recipe. I call it a recipe. It's so simple. It's not really a recipe, but it's a good quality dark chocolate with a few nuts and seeds on it. And I get my clients to make this, and then they can have that with a cup of herbal tea before bed. And the seeds and the nuts are going to give them some protein that's going to support their sleep through the night. And they're getting that treat, the chocolate, which is actually high in magnesium as well. So it's great to support their sleep, as well as a nice cup of tea. So they're feeling like they're having something quite indulgent, but they're actually doing something really healthy for themselves.
I love that idea of a guilty pleasure that you're allowing your clients to have, and I think that, you know, your starting point about the environment that you're in, and being aware that, you know, most workplaces they seem to have a real problem with fruit, and, you know, the fruit's not very appetizing looking. The apples can look, you know, pretty old even on the first day that a fruit box can turn up. But the biscuits are always looking fresh and sweet and yummy, etc.
Calling out.
At 3 o'clock, you know, I feel like I need a biscuit and a cup of tea to kind of get through the rest of the day. And I think that your point around having the choices and the alternatives there. So there will be some days where, you know, you've been in back-to-back meetings and you feel like you need that little bit of sugar hit to keep you going for the rest of the day. But, you know, the majority of the days you might have that, oh, I'm a bit hungry. But, you know, I think having that healthy muesli bar, or having that no sugar muesli bar, having that healthy, whatever that snack might be, it is about that preparing for, you know, well, what am I going to have, and what am I going to have on hand? And, you know, it might be that cheeky dark chocolate with some nuts and seeds that you've made as that little treat to, you know, kind of go, oh, well done, you know, I got through this tough day and I've got through these difficult meetings. I've got 3 or 4 more meetings to go, and I'll have this little treat, and I'll sit there all guilty knowing that, you know, I've had this little treat, but I deserved it, and you know, it's not going to throw off the rest of my being focused or aware of health and fitness. It's just, you know, little things I do to keep supporting myself in my overall health plan.
It's interesting because I think most of us know that, like you were saying, about the choice between the apple and the chocolate bar, but some people still do need reminding. I have a lovely story where I was having a conversation with somebody, and they were asking me my thoughts of this particular shop. They said to me, okay, when I'm on my lunch break, I go down to this shop, and I know this shop, and they said to me, so these are the choices of what's in this shop. Which would be the healthiest one for me to choose? Now, this is a fruit and vegetable shop. It's actually a fruit and veggie shop. And they were going down there and they were choosing between like a trail mix, a bag of vegetable chips, and then like a Chinese cracker sort of. And I said, why don't you buy an apple? And they were genuinely like, oh, buy an apple. But there was programmed to go and buy a snack from the snack section of the fruit and veggie shop. And it's like, and they're like, yeah, I can buy an apple or a banana or a peach or whatever piece, or even a carrot. So sometimes you need those little reminders to get out of those habits that we've developed that aren't necessarily positive. And I'll say to people, you know what, if you really want that snack, have it on Friday. Have your apple Monday to Thursday, and on Friday have the one you want. Go for it.
have that cheat day at work.
Absolutely. Why not? You deserve it.
You do, for eating the apples the other days. So, Jean, if people were wanting to get hold of you to talk to you some more about health and gut health, and if they have children, their children's health, what's the best way of getting hold of you?
So I work at a practice called Elemental Health. We are in St Ives on the North Shore of Sydney. I also do consultations on Zoom as well, thanks to COVID. And lots of things came out of COVID, some good, some not so great. But yes, so during COVID, I was practicing online. So I've maintained that, which has been wonderful. So I have clients all over Australia. I have a website, Jean Jarrett Natural Health. And I also have my website, which is all about children's health, which is called Healthy Kids Naturally. And that is focused on simple, and I mean really simple, recipes for busy parents, because I know how difficult it is to put together some sort of meals and things for when you're busy, when you've come home from work and you're running late, or you've got to pick up the kids and get home, then get out the door again, or whatever's going on. So I wanted to provide parents with really simple recipes that they wouldn't have to, go and buy special ingredients for. There's nothing worse than when you search for a recipe and you pull it up and it's got a whole long list of ingredients. I'm like, no.
Oh, fabulous. And if you were to give your younger self some advice, what do you think that advice might be?
Oh, look, I think I wish I had have had my own business many years ago. I love having the flexibility that having my own business provides, and being my own boss and getting to make the decisions that, for me, that is the one thing and it was something I always wanted to do. I always knew that would be one of my goals. But yeah, I think I wish I had have done it many years ago.
Yeah, I can really hear how moving to being your own boss is giving you that flexibility and freedom that was possibly a bit harder before. But we've come to the end of the show, so thank you so much for coming on the show today, Jean.
It's been lovely to speak to you. Thanks for the opportunity. It's been great to chat.
It's been lots of fun and reminiscing about the farm and the other all of the micro tips that I've remembered from over the years. But to all the viewers, thank you again for watching, and that's the end of today's show. So from my heart to your heart, be great, be fabulous, and be you.